you had a bunch of clueless leftist virtue-signaling morons descend on Trafalgar Square in London today to protest against democracy. Now, here's what's funny about this. The rally was initially cancelled because police feared overcrowding. They thought that over 50,000 people were going to turn up. The problem with that was that they were basing it off of Facebook. So 50,000 people said they were going to show up on Facebook. You actually look at the pictures, it's in the hundreds. It's 300-400 people actually turned up because these people are nothing more than virtue signalers. They care more about looking progressive and trendy in front of their Facebook friends than they actually do bothering getting up off their butts and voting. I mean, look at the Brexit referendum. 36%, only 36% of people in the 18 to 24-year-old category actually voted. 64% in that age group did not vote. So you've got 36% compared to 72% national turnout. And they have the gall, they have the temerity to claim that this doesn't represent Britain. You know, here's the message. Only 36% of you bothered to vote. Whining on Facebook doesn't count. Who knew? Again, these are people living in London swank pads, paid for by their rich parents. And now they're out there, again, subverting democracy, saying that this democratic referendum should just be annulled because suddenly they're not happy about it because a lot of their friends had a hissy fit on Facebook. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't count for jack. If you don't bother to get off your butt, go to a polling station. You know, in most cases, it's literally across the road from people. But they don't care. They don't actually care about voting. They only care about looking trendy. That's the whole point. That's why they're out there on the streets of Trafalgar Square right now. Again, lecturing old people. We've got this narrative in the British media. The old people must die. They ruined our future. They're not going to be around for much longer anyway. Why do we even let them vote in the first place? These are the people whose fathers literally fought and died for Britain not to be ruled from Germany. And now these punk millennial idiots who are completely uninformed, completely ignorant, are lecturing old people about the mere fact that they had the chance to vote. In fact, here's a tweet. I retweeted it just a while ago. Dear young Remainers, 65 years old plus new rationing, 75 years old plus new the Luftwaffe, 90 years old plus new Panzers. They didn't steal your future, they gave you one. Yet these punks are all over YouTube, all over Facebook, arguing, and with, in some cases, backed up by the leftist media, saying that because the older generation stole their future, the old people shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. Because, you know, youth unemployment is really great in Europe, isn't it? You know, 45% youth unemployment in Spain, 50% youth unemployment in Greece. If that's a bright future, then what the hell are these people thinking? Absolutely ridiculous. Yet again, they're being legitimized by the media, by Labour MPs, by idiots like Richard Branson, who is also calling for a second referendum, and by billionaire globalists, insider trading crooks like George Soros. And isn't it ironic that all these, quote, anarchists are out there on the streets protesting in favor of the political establishment, in favor of the status quo, protesting in favor of the big banks? I mean, leftists are all suddenly concerned about Barclays Bank losing some money. Again, they're complete frauds. So now we got Soros. We got this article out of Breitbart. Soros, Brexit vote must be overturned or the European Union is doomed. The Hungarian-American open borders advocate and billionaire George Soros has declared Brexit could easily be overturned, you know, that pesky democracy causing problems once again, and that the European Union must then be remade with power transferred from national governments to EU bodies. Again, exactly as we saw yesterday, they're talking about scrapping the last remaining vestiges of sovereignty that these countries have got in a desperate last-minute bid to solidify, to integrate into that political federal superstate that they had planned all along. Meanwhile, all these countries are going to be asking for a referendum. This is going to be a domino effect. But don't think they're going to go quietly into the night. As I said, they're trying every trick in the book to sabotage this. Soros went on to slam illiberal democracies like Hungary, which he said must be remodeled on European values. Oh, you mean countries like Hungary that actually try to protect their own borders, that try to preserve any kind of national identity whatsoever? This creature is a total enemy of everything that's good, everything that's sovereign, everything that's independent. Mr. Soros was appearing on a panel at the annual council meeting of the European Council on Foreign Relations. On the topic of Britain's EU referendum, he claimed that the British public were shocked that voters chose Brexit and stated those who voted leave had genuine buyer's remorse. Well, as I pointed out before the break, you actually look at the polls, only 1% of leave voters are unhappy. Only 1% regret their vote, according to the polls. Meanwhile, 4% of Remain voters are happy with the referendum result. Again, suggesting that 4% regret their vote on the Remain side. So it's 4-1. And yet you've got this entire media narrative, which is now being seized on by Soros, claiming that, oh, we were just too dumb and stupid to understand the consequences. Now we regret what we did and we're so sorry. And let's have another referendum because we don't really know what we're doing. Let's just hand back power to the technocrats and the experts because they know what's best for us. Complete and utter BS.